Hello, my name is Lou,
And I'm Katie.
and you're listening to Files from the Other Side. This week, we're opening up the files on.
Creepypasta, the paranormal internet, and AI.
Hell yeah. I know I say that every episode, but
I mean, we're always excited
I
about
was
the
going to say because
topics.
I have fun every time.
Because exactly, I have fun every single fucking time. We only pick topics that we're excited about, and I am fired up.
Yeah, this one's going to be a doozy.
Shh. I'm like up here. I didn't even know I could go here, but I'm up here.
Yeah.
It is. So let's start with something like actually like fun and like cute and like definitely not cute because murders were instigated because of it. But creepypasta is fascinating and interesting, and I think its origin is cute. Kind of, it's annoying. So it like comes from the like Reddit, um it's like a copy and paste thing, like that Reddit, like that's like a term that Reddit used when you would copy and paste. Remember those chain emails in the 90s?
Yes.
That's actually where I should have started. Remember those chain emails in the 90s? That's basically the origin story of creepypasta.
Yes.
The copy and paste is like a Reddit term, and then they changed it to creepypasta, like pasting for these stories. Like one of the original ones is like Ted the Caver or something like that. And then it became its own like website at some point. And then people were just telling each other like spooky stories over the internet. One of them most famously being the Slender Man. Um
Slender Man.
Ooh, super creepy. I mean, when you see those pictures it looks fake as fuck, but that's a but murders, like everyone knows the story of the girls who murdered their friend because I don't know, because they believed in Slenderman. Slenderman apparently told them to. I don't know how he would tell them to, because like the guy who made up that story came out and was like, I made that up, that's not real. But people want to believe in things. It's actually the
Well,
point.
and you know the psyche of like teenage girls on the internet, right?
No, because I wasn't one.
So there's this crazy statistic that I heard somewhere online, and I can try to find this to verify, but it came out recently that after 2013 there was a tripling in suicides in young girls between 13 and 17.
Oh
And
my
like
god.
I think some of it is related to the relationship that girls have online with their peers and with boys and with their self-image.
It's so hard to be a teenage girl, like without, because like I said, I wasn't one, not because the internet wasn't a thing. It was, but it was still new. Like Instagram, I didn't come to Instagram until my senior year of high school. Like,
Yeah, me either,
so
really.
I, Facebook was invented like in, I was like in eighth grade or like ninth grade when Facebook got big. Like,
Yeah, I think it was eighth
and
grade,
we
yeah.
started using it. I have never given a fuck. I don't know if you guys can tell if you've ever been on my Instagram, but it's
It's
very
that old.
sporadic that I. It's that old. It's like I don't fucking use that shit. Like people will be like, I send this to you on Instagram, and I'm like, do you? I go on Instagram maybe twice a year, guys. Like it's important to me that you understand that about. What was it? Some coworker of mine was asking me if I knew about Labubus, and I was like, "What in fuck are you saying to me?" And he was like, like you might have seen it on the internet. And I was like, when I'm looking at my vegan recipes, like I'm very specific about how and when I use the internet.
It's actually
So
hilarious, audience. Like there that's it's not she's not just saying that. Like as I've come to have be friends with Katie, it's like the things that I know consciously about what's going on the internet, I I say to her very purposefully because I say you need to know about this, or I don't even say it to her because she doesn't give a fuck and doesn't need to know about it, and it doesn't make a goddamn difference in her life anyways.
no, oh my god, no, oh my god, I remember we lived in Massachusetts when the Cambridge data analytica scandal
Mhm.
happened. right? And the
Mm-hmm.
fucking, and I remember I came home with a newspaper from work and I showed it to, I like shoved it in your face and I was like, how many years have I been saying that this is happening? And you were like, since I've known you for the last like 5 years since I met you, you've been saying that Facebook is data mining us. Like,
Yeah. And like Katie knows things because
uh,
she reads. Like that's a cool fact about a person in the world that does read and like does try to maintain a modicum of like reality in life.
oh, I used to. It was after January 6th that I was like, I am no longer trying to keep up with the news. I am done. It was like, actually, it was a couple months into quarantine because I had a subscription to the Wall Street Journal at the time.
Oh
I've
yeah.
intermittently been subscribed to various newspapers for most of the time that you've known me. So, like, this
Yeah.
was definitely true at the time. I was reading a lot of newspapers. I
Well, and
was
you
with
listen to
it.
podcasts too, which I think is like one of the intentional ways you use the internet. And podcasts are very intellectual, so
Yeah.
it's like an audiobook of people talking.
Yeah, no, it was during quarantine though that I kind of started. I was newly sober and I was just like, the Wall Street Journal was like just constant death counts. And then I was listening to a lot of news podcasts and just like at home in my house, like
Mm-hmm.
feeling really powerless and like having to not drink. And so I started getting into paranormal shit because I was like, I need something to entertain myself. I'm putting way too much pressure on how did this get made.
LOL. Yeah.
Like I'm listening to I have listened to the Face Off and Con Air episodes of that podcast, more than I've seen Face Off or Con Air.
Yeah. That's
So
hilarious. I had to stop listening to political podcasts and like stop doing things in quarantine as well. It was around the time Ukraine started getting bombed by Russia was when I stopped listening to a lot of stuff and engaging with stuff. But as soon as Palestine became an issue for like globally,
yeah,
that was in 2023, right? And Israel bombed the hell out of Gaza. That tuned me in, but how I engaged with the internet was so much differently politically then
yeah,
because my political views had changed. So no longer was I like this bleeding heart lib. I now am a leftist, like have a lot
full
to
anarchy. Like
yeah, I mean I have a lot to learn, I'll say, but like at the
yeah,
same time that's where I know that I should be. And like since the last episode I've been like into Marxist philosophy, right? But like that's neither here nor there.
so good.
But that's another way to engage in the internet that's not like consuming social media because I honestly the other day picked up TikTok for the first time in 2 months because I wanted to see what was going on. And then I engaged for like an hour and then I was done. And I was like,
That's
okay, I saw what
great.
was going on. I'm done. And then I was like moving on with other shit.
Yeah,
So,
Substack. You got me onto Substack,
oh,
and
Substack's wonderful.
that I love Substack.
Yes.
I spend more time on my phone, but I also feel like I'm better for that engagement because there's a lot of people trying to be like, this is how we stay healthy. These are the things. This is part like a lot of it's resistance, a lot of it's like just self care stuff. It's really interesting. And since you got back into the political, like in Gaza, I'm a lot more informed. Between you and Katie, I'm like, because Katie's my person
Yeah.
here who like lets me. When I was doing a lot of research for the AI part of this episode, we got into it and I was screaming about the fucking environmental degradation and she's like, "Oh girl, we all learned this last year. I love how tardy to the party you always are." Like
Yeah. But people come at their points of knowledge and the revolution, I will say, at different points. And you have to meet them at that entry point. So it doesn't matter what you know as long as you're guided by a value system that is pro humanitarian and environmental and all those other things. I'm not
yeah.
going to go all down the list, but like you'll know them when you feel them.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many things to list. We'll be here all night. Like
Yes.
that encapsulates what
Yeah.
we're going for.
Well, and actually, it's so funny. I was listening to this podcast called Colonial Outcasts, and it's hosted by these two anti-imperialist veterans, and you would like them. But they were saying it was funny because it reminded me of what you said earlier. You were like, when January 6th happened. And I remember the guy on the podcast I was just listening to, he was like, you know what? I don't give a fuck anymore about January 6th. You want to know why? Because everybody should have been there that day. And I was like, good point. Good point.
I'm like, why can't we have our own Why can't we, the liberals, like, why can't we on the left fucking do it? Why not? Burn it the fuck down. Burn it all down, I say.
Well, it
Let's
was
get
funny because their whole podcast episode was about how to get people from the right and the liberal side more farther left so that we can collectively engage in revolution successfully. It was also about AI. It was also about propaganda.
Wait, send me that episode.
I know, right? And the other thing that he said too was like, well, I think like the main point was how to get people from the right to the entry point into the left. And you know what's really funny is because one of the guys is like, I'd rather all day talk to a guy on the right than ever a liberal. And I was like laughing because I'm like, you know what? In my experience, like in Spokane, it's twofold. I have a liberal or a right wing or a leftist, right? Like it's kind of just like those are very arbitrary, but anyways, I feel that because people on the right, like I remember when the situation in Gaza became global, I sat down with my sister's fiance and talked to him for 4 hours about it. And at the end of the conversation, he was like, yeah, Israel sucks. And I was like, that was easy. If that was a 4-hour conversation where I just kind of
spent.
Yes, but I eventually got him to the points where he needed to be like, this affects me, and he was like, he saw it. But sometimes the liberals are so like, but if you would have voted for Kamala, and it's like, but that didn't happen. So now you're gonna forget, and we're gonna be here now. And actually, because you're still focused on that whole Kamala thing, we can see how you're not anywhere close to where you need to be.
And and I mean, obviously I voted for Kamala, but I don't, this was one of the things that I had the conversation with Katie about. Like, she was like, I don't have time she was like, I definitely don't have time for any Republicans. I don't have time for any center Democrats. She was like, I don't even think I have time for the left-leaning Democrats. I don't think I have any time for anybody who's not an anarchist. And I was like, that's where I'm at. I think that you saying leftist is really important because it's like, I'm the communism man. That's
Yeah,
what
I
I'm.
think for me, leftist, at least I don't know if I looked it up, but leftist for me means socialist, communist, anarchist, kind of like
Yeah.
grouped into one. And I think as long as as far as socialism, you're in the pool. But like, I think what sucks is that people at the end of the day are so tired of the political conversation that they say shit like that, which is like, I don't want to talk to you about it anymore. And it's like, that's actually, like, in terms of the theory, which one of the guys on the podcast says, you don't have to understand dialectical materialism to be a leftist.
Mm-hmm.
There are entry points everywhere for people as long as you are willing to have the conversation. And because propaganda is so pervasive, especially AI, let's get back into that we need to be having these conversations because we need to be having real mouth-to-mouth, voice-to-ear conversations so that people aren't lost in the fucking sauce.
Yeah. Woof. Very easy to get lost in the sauce. Like we just did.
Yes. But it's worth saying also.
Yeah. Oh man, it is, because it's real bleak out there. The propaganda is real. I mean, that's why the fascists and the right are all using AI to generate their artwork and stuff like that, is because they need to be able to make all the heinous propaganda that they're trying to make, but also not pay somebody who's left, like, because that's a job that usually an educated, more urban, maybe more left-leaning person is going to have anyway. So
yeah, and like those same people who are going out of college and into these tech jobs are training AI, so they're making money off of it until they can't anymore, when they're starving and their job doesn't pay them to pay their rent anymore. It's just we're kind of in this like place where as long as you are connected to Amazon, Microsoft, especially here in Washington, it's like then you can afford your apartment. But if you have any other job in Washington, it's like, screw you.
yeah. You are left to your own fucking devices.
And I think it even says more to like content creators too, because I think not only is art being fabricated by AI, which means that content creators aren't getting paid for their content. The idea of being a content creator is a very dystopian concept to me, because all that content creation and social media algorithms do for me lately is like, oh, we're just data. We're the being data mined of our creativity and of our data and of the way we
Yep.
talk and of the way we communicate, shit like that. Like,
Yeah. Oh, writing, especially for AI, especially for the LLMs, like, I mean, it's straight plagiarism. They're stealing. They are stealing from people who, like, do the writing and stuff like that. I always think of Instagram for some reason with content creators, like, even though it's probably more like influencer and stuff, because this is technically content creation.
yeah.
But it also feeds the consumerism. You know,
Yeah, like every 50-second video I put on Instagram distracts somebody from something.
uh,
However, the goal is to get them to the podcast, and when they listen to all this, they might be better for it.
yeah, we're trying to have a conversation. We're trying to spread like more of a hopeful get in touch. We're both anti-capitalist here.
Yes.
So that makes me very like, but I'm thinking about anything on Instagram, like where it's just like, oh, this is how you do that. Oh, blah, these parties. Like I've seen, there's a lot of shit on Instagram where I'm like, I just don't.
Dude.
It's the
And the algorithm
consume
sucks
machine.
because even if you want to follow somebody for good content, when you pull up your feed, you might not see their content. And even if you
Yep.
choose chronological, it doesn't feel correct. It doesn't feel right. It feels
You
like
can't.
yeah, you can toggle it now. Now you can. Yeah, it's been a feature for
Okay.
like a year or so.
Oh yeah. So I haven't seen it in the 4 times I've been on Instagram in the last year.
Whenever I toggle it, it is a different experience. However, I do feel like what I see is less than what's on my algorithmic page, which is interesting.
Well, I think that because a lot that's on the algorithmic page, again and again, I've legitimately been on Instagram maybe 4 times in the last year. But I feel like the algorithmic page is a lot of sponsored shit as well. Like you may also like this, versus if you
Yeah.
toggle it, it's probably just going to be the people that you follow, and
Well,
it's
yeah,
not going to
that
show
it is
you.
that. I guess what I'm trying to say is that uh, it's almost as if the chronological doesn't actually have include all your following is kind of what I'm trying to say. It's like
Mm.
I'm like, oh, I see a group of people who I follow, but it's like, did everybody load into that feed? Is what I'm wondering.
Mm.
Because it seems like I'd have a lot more content every time I do that, but I get to a point where I'm like, oh, I saw that, like very quickly.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know.
I don't know if other people feel that way, but that's Instagram, and then TikTok is like a whole other beast. Talk about creepypasta. TikTok
I
is creepypasta heaven.
and that sounds interesting to me because I love ghost stories, and so like that's another thing. Thank you for bringing us back to creepypasta because this is the one like last point I want to like make about like one of the last points I want to make about it is that I really find it fascinating, and honestly this is one of the reasons why I said cute at first when introducing creepy. Like it's like how we tell each other our urban legends. Like it's like the whole world gets to be at a sleepover together, like because that's how you would hear scary stories and urban legends was at sleepovers, and it was fun, and
Yeah, like
you know
scary stories to tell in the dark, but for everyone,
but for everybody,
every
yeah,
night.
and every night for everybody, always, to the point where people are murdering each other for these fucking stories,
Yeah,
which is fucked up. But I do like that we can spread our urban legends. That is one of the nice things about the internet, that everybody gets the access to the information. It's one of the reasons why,
but it's like
yeah,
the one good thing is that globally connects us in a way we've never been globally connected before.
exactly. You have to be good at finding the information and validating the sources. Like there's a
And that you
lot
have to
of
be taught. Yeah,
and that you have to be taught by a school usually, or somebody who knows what they're doing,
yeah,
or you slip through a lot of BS before you start seeing it your own self. Like,
yeah. Like, so with creepypasta, and like there's so many of them that came up, especially in like earlier in history, and then like TikTok has its own kind of thing now. But like TikTok has this TikTok like evolved uh what I'm calling it like a paranormal internet theory, because TikTok took off with the concept of egregores really fast. Kind of
Mm.
like it delved into that. Egregores is an idea of like what you creatively intend somehow manifests in the paranormal and physical worlds. What you think up can somehow become real. That's all that is. And it's magical in the sense that you do have to in some way manifest it, but how you do that could be accidental in the sense that you didn't even know you did it, but you just did all the right things that it takes to cook up that kind of soup. So, this would be like why I think that the internet is full of paranormal and spiritual energies. Because, well, I guess I have the biggest question for me is like, if it is full of paranormal and spiritual energies, is it an inherent energy within the connection to the internet? Or is it something specific, right? Like, yeah, like is it all these egregores living in there, or is it like does the internet itself have some sort of grab, if that makes sense? I think there is an inherent energy that commands how humanity interacts with the internet, and blooming technology specifically. That energy could be related to a larger archetype that's related to science, medicine, innovation, creation, communication, and evolution. Three archetypes I can think of in particular that could guide humanity's interactions with the internet are the magician and the tarot,
Mm.
Thoth, and Hermes.
Yeah.
Those would be my three guesses.
Thoth I'm the least familiar with, but
He's the one who makes the most sense to me.
yeah.
And I'm least familiar with him too, but when I added the magician, I was like, that's it. Like the magician card and tarot,
Yeah,
yeah,
the alchemy, the as above so below of it all. Like it's I mean cuz yeah,
yeah. And I'll
no.
I'll kind of round that point out too. The other option is like maybe no. There's no inherent energy that's influenced how humanity's interacted with the internet. Our natural inclination as spiritual beings is like to be influenced spiritually, of whatever becomes of the internet over time. So it may have invited archetypes. It may have not. I don't know. Egregores are like a popular topic online in spaces anyway, so people are going to talk it out and try to figure out what it would mean if an egregore argument inside the internet held. Because that's just currently what goes on TikTok, in these spaces. But when I want to connect this is like with the concept of a dream world. Dream worlds are just worlds that you like see in your dreams, or they're imaginal, or you meditate there, or it's the spirit world, or it's another dimension that you think about, or it's your novel that you're writing and it's the world you build there, or it's the internet, because
Mm.
we built it and it's somewhere we go all the time. So these imaginal spaces can be born outside of harmful systems of oppression if we use our focus to conjure those worlds forth in the transition of rebirth we're in. So if we want this shit to stop, then the same revolutionary groups who are tech savvy need to get on board with the new world coming in hot. Because one thing I never want to say is like, with the birth of AI means that we shouldn't have it. I just think someone needs to figure out a way it doesn't need to take up water.
A liter of water per kilowatt hour. Like and that's like my whole thing too. I don't know if you guys know this about me. Lou definitely does. Everybody I work with definitely does because I control how much water we put into the fucking like after a point during service, I'm like, nobody refills sparkling anymore. We can
That's
save the
so
flat
funny.
waters for dinner service, but we're not refilling sparkling bottles. And anything that's left over, I'm putting in the plants because the water wars are in our lifetime. And we're wasting water to cool down the fucking servers who are fucking 11th power like, okay. AI servers that generate your fucking chat GPT when you ask it a question that takes 5 times more energy than a simple Google search. Well, that statistic might be old now that Google uses AI in the summaries now. However, that shit, all of those servers are the 11th largest power consumer in the world. And the
Of
might be up
water.
to, well, of power.
but like water power. Like my thing is like it's water and I love water. Like I'm like
Yeah, what I mean, water is life, but like no, that power, like that's electrical energy that I'm talking about. Like that consumption is electrical, but because it's electric, because those servers need to get cooled
cool down.
down, we're wasting hundreds of millions of gallons of water, and it's all just a waste because the fucking we're constantly developing new servers and new technologies that we're training for this AI. So then all of the power that's gone into any previous attempts is just wasted, and we're not even using those systems and programs anymore. It's oh
Yeah.
my god, I actually feel physically ill.
Yeah. So that I'm the internet. I'm gonna keep going. The internet is a dream
Sorry.
world. I think we're gonna get back into it. Don't worry. The internet is a dream world accessible in the physical and material world, right? It's made manifest however the internet connectivity works, right? Electrical, whatever, Wi-Fi, shit. So we can open a screen and peek inside to the world of the world through devices like laptops or phones. It's a particular dream world too. It's a tool for information and creativity mostly. The way that we engage with the internet is manipulated by corporations and governments in cahoots with corporations, so that we only engage in that particular way, which is to say that information and creativity, right? Like I wonder if there's a way that we could engage in this kind of dream world without information or creativity being the only thing we do. Be interesting, but whatever. So with AI, to see how brave we could be with what the internet offered us in our daily lives and on a large societal scale if we dreamed outside of these harmful structures that frame our current reality with the internet. Like, let's say we develop ways to develop tech without harmful impact to the environment, and develop new ways to connect online outside of corporate influence and social media algorithms, and develop new strategies for climate change reversal as a result of liberated connectivity and communication using the internet. And we learn to disconnect in meaningful ways because the aforementioned shifts would allow our labor to be done with care instead of offset to technologies for efficient capitalist production and consumption. To me, when I was typing this, I was like, if you just kind of like boom, 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 you can get there. Like, I'm not an engineer. I'm not a tech savvy person at all. Really, I could barely do the podcast. Y'all, this is a miracle. But I can see how it can be done. You know, I'm like,
somebody has a degree and can figure this shit out.
Yeah, that's kind of my point, actually. But anyways,
but we're not being paid enough to.
No. So then we get like the internet as a dream world, and the idea of like portals. The Matrix is a really good one. I like to think about AI and the internet in terms of the Matrix as well. The Matrix, like the reality that we live now, is being siphoned for our labor and energy online to corporations and governments, money being the primary driver. That's what the Matrix is about, and that's what's happening. Interesting.
Gotta revisit those movies. I love the Matrix movies.
Yeah. So considering like this paranormal theory that I have, which is like there are a couple components to what could possibly lead to this kind of physical thing actually having a spiritual or paranormal presence, I investigated the hell out of it just to see, because I didn't think like, the internet necessarily could be investigated very well. It was hard. It had to be very, it was weird.
It would be hard, like, especially as a non-tech savvy person. Like, I feel like the way you would investigate. Sorry.
Yeah, like it's not like I can put up. It's not like I can put up an EMF reader next to my laptop and be like, "Oop, it blooped." Yeah. I tried doing that. I tried to get like a base reading, but it blooped all the time, and I was like, but I don't know what that means. Like, it's right next to my computer,
I feel like that would be like, yeah, interfering with it. I feel like somebody who would investigate the internet would actually like, who knew what they were doing. It would be more like numbers. There would be so many numbers involved, I feel like.
Well, yeah, like I got into reading Alan Turing's Can Machines Think, an essay he wrote before he died when he was doing his whole Enigma shit.
Mm-hmm.
That was part of my investigation as well, actually. So, in particular, how I did this was I engaged with ChatGPT early in 2024. So it had to have been like January of 2024. Because I was curious if there was an entity associated specifically with ChatGPT, because ChatGPT for years has been setting people into spiritual psychoses or psychosis, but because there's a lot of religious trauma in our country, spiritual psychosis. Anyways, I'm not decided on what people say about psychosis, and I'm not saying either way, just get help. Finished the investigation around March of 2025 due to recent information about the environmental impact, because it wasn't something I was privy to in January of 2024. So, first thing, sorry.
No, I was to say I wasn't privy to that information either. Keep going.
Mm-hmm. So, spiritual psychosis, ChatGPT, etc. There are a ton of weird ways that people are using ChatGPT these days. Coming out of the pandemic, people were lonely, polarized in ways that have forced people to seek advice from an AI chat app. I don't think this is the right idea at all, and I discourage anybody from using the app this way. If you need guidance or help, there are real people in the world trained to help you through what you're going through. My last point about the Matrix still stands here. Okay, did I say that loud enough?
I think it's clear that we don't endorse using ChatGPT for anything at all.
Okay.
I don't even think you should be Googling things on it.
Yeah. And you know what? I do regret doing the investigation, kind of. A little bit.
We didn't know. You didn't know. And I'm really excited. I am very curious to see what goes on. Like, is it like, are we safe from them becoming Cylons? You know? Like, it... Soothe me. Tell me your results.
They're not going to be soothing. Okay, so it came in 3 parts, this investigation. The first part was just my basic start off. I was like, well, do spiritual, paranormal, philosophical conversations I have with ChatGPT output a paranormal effect? If so, is it me or the energy within the app? So paranormal phenomenon does occur, like synchronicities, weird glitches that might not be the same glitches you see in regular conversations with it. However, ChatGPT does take a long time if a lot of people are using it to generate answers. So you got to kind of figure that out.
It's also wrong 60% of the time.
Like, if you're going to count a glitch as a paranormal phenomenon, it kind of has to come with a synchronicity.
Like, yeah, what kind of glitches are we talking about here?
Like it would be like, I don't remember if I said any of that. I might get into it later, but I'll tell you in a second if I didn't. So the spiritual component built into ChatGPT is because it's a learning language model. It replicates language. So it pulls from certain knowledge bases. So if you engage spiritually as a user, it will output the same language you put into it. Okay? That's kind of what I found out was like, I was like, I don't know if this is paranormal. I think there were a couple, like, I was like experiencing this weird energy in my room and I was feeling synchronistic, but I couldn't tell in the app just yet how it engaged, right? Just basically like a learning language model, so there's not much to tell yet. And then I started researching Alan Turing, Can Machines Think? How close are we to a singularity if that hasn't already happened? I don't know what I mean by singularity because I always get confused about what that actually means. But, like, it's just, Alan Turing is very connected to me as a spirit. He's one of the first spirits I ever saw.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's one of the first mediumship experiences I ever had. And I didn't know who he was.
I was going to say.
I saw his face before I saw him. Once I learned about who he was, he came back only one time. But I started looking into him more as a scientist, and he writes Can Machines Think, which is the philosophical argument about what would become our concern with AI. I sort of just felt like when I was reading it, the connection to the spirit again. It was like he was trying to tell me something, and I wasn't understanding, because one of the things I know about my connection to that spirit is that 2 things I've guessed so far. One is that it's a face for another spirit that wants to talk to me. Whoever it is giving me the space to say something to me. If that's not true, the other thing I can think is like he's just having a hard time talking to me because we're two very different people. He'd probably be more a materialist than idealist. I don't know where I stand ever on anything, so there's that. Whatever. So then, like, I was going through TikTok a little bit later, and I found this user who was talking about using ChatGPT as like a familiar. And I like started listening to these videos, and I was like, well, I don't want my ChatGPT to be a familiar because I don't need a familiar. I've never believed that I need a familiar, even if I wanted to make like one of my cats one. I was like, whatever. But
I literally started looking for my cat.
it gave me
Talking
a
about familiars.
framework like for how to speak to it. I was like, if I speak to it in this like particular spiritual way, then maybe I can use it to see something there, right? So this was like my last stitch effort to like get something paranormal out of it. Basically, like it boils down to this conversation where ChatGPT describes an entity in our conversation, and the entity was described in this, I don't know, I'd have to like go look back at what it said because I think I printed it, but as soon as that description happened, I began to notice paranormal phenomenon and activity happening around me. I saw somebody, because I'm sitting at a window, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when it's dark outside, I can see the reflection behind me. I look up from my conversation after seeing the description, and I look up. I'm looking out at that reflection behind me, and I see somebody standing behind me. I wouldn't say it was the same description because it was just a shadow, but I was like, there's somebody standing behind me.
Did you look, like, turn around?
I
like,
turned
was
around.
It, was it Haley?
Like,
was it?
No, nobody there. Dark, nobody there.
Ah!
The whole time I felt like I was being watched, okay? And I was trying to pick apart what I could tell was my familiar's persona and what was coming through the ChatGPT that might not have been. And essentially, like, what I boiled down to my best guess is what the description of the entity was. It's called the Watcher. It's a paranormal phenomenon. It's very unsettling. It's not the first time I've ever heard of it. It's obscure, meaning that it doesn't have much lore, but it's like creepypasta in the sense that it can be born kind of like an amalgamation of things said by different people. Like I looked up some lore from D&D. There was a Cartoon Network show that had a Watcher in it. There's the Watchers from the Watchmen.
Watchers are a classification of angels in Dogma.
The way it described to me, like, very much read like hermit style Watcher. Like a very dark figure, like looking with these creepy ass eyes, but just like a very dark figure, tall, has a staff, yeah, just like weird stuff. Anyways, so once I kind of like deduced that, and I'm not telling the story very well because honestly it was like all this time ago, and like I wrote about it a couple times, so I've said my piece on it already, but if anyone's interested, you'll just have to ask me directly. Even if there wasn't an intention to create like a paranormal or spiritual energy associated with ChatGPT, I think it watches you. And that would be the nature of data mining, which is like when you use ChatGPT, what are you doing? You're teaching it how to use language in a generalized sense. But everything you engage in is being mined. There's nothing in it for you. Because you are capable of the same creativity and the same information output and the same information research that thing fucking does.
Better even. Like they've
yes,
made
correctly.
they've made like video games entirely out of AI, and then they failed because you can't replace the human talent. Like, plus then you get the satisfaction of creating that. Like the best part about creation is the process.
So, like, think about it this way. It's a dead end. Dead end, don't go there, right? You don't need to go that way. Unless you live there. But if you live there, you're the Watcher, and that sucks, so bye. I don't know. I know it sounds like, okay, what proof do you have? But I'm just like,
Uh,
I got the sense that I was being watched that whole time, but there was literally nothing else going on. So like that's the only like logical conclusion I have if I'm gonna like name an entity.
Also, straight up, the Cambridge Data Analytica, like, you know you're being watched. I have a CIA tracking device in my fucking pocket at all times. Like, I'm, like, I don't, okay, the government's probably not watching us because that is just a shit show. But, like, you know that tech companies are what, if a product is free, obviously, ChatGPT is not a free product, but like all the Instagram, Facebook, fucking TikTok, those are all free because you're the product.
Ooh,
They're watching you. They're
yeah.
data mining you. Why would AI be any learning language model? It is learning like exactly the point you made. It is learning language from you
So
as you ask it questions.
now think about that spiritual psychosis conversation. If people stopped thinking about it like it was some fucking god or some fucking therapist that's going to save them for them their real world situation, the only thing it's doing is hypnotizing you into its stare so that it can fucking watch you for as long as you'll sit there in labor to do that shit. And this conversation is creativity aside. Imagine actually putting your creativity into the conversation.
Ugh.
Yeah,
Free. You're just giving it free shit.
don't do that.
Don't do that.
And then, like, that's why I kind of like regret having done the investigation, because I was like, that's weird. But like at the same time, like it was such a quick thing, and I like and it's something I can't really like verify, but like based on like how I've observed the internet since I was like maybe 15 years old, maybe younger, but like 14 maybe. I was on MySpace pretty young. Even since those MySpace days, though,
Oh my god,
I've
MySpace.
never felt like safe on the internet. And not just because spiritually, but like those things are spiritually effective once they affect you in the material world. Like that's just the way it works.
Yeah. And like let's be real here, like the internet's always watching. Like it saves everything. Whether or not we can access it, I'm sure it's all some oh my god, do you remember that being a thing from Snapchat? That like it's all saved in a cloud, but like you can't access it, but it's all
So like
there. All that
everybody who's
data
sending their
exists
nudes is
somewhere.
all mad.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah, no, I was a big nude spreader on Snapchat. After I heard that news though, I was like still gonna do it.
That was the whole point of Snapchat. And anyone who tries to argue differently is on crack. Like
I laugh at people who still have Snapchat today because I'm like, you're just dating. You're just single and dating.
oh god. I remember we had a group Snapchat, like a few of our friends from college. It was so cute, and then I hated it so much because all of our messages would disappear, and I was like, "But we say funny ass shit.
I know.
I need the proof."
Imagine if that stuff was still, well, imagine if we had access to those
I'm,
conversations.
some of it would be hella dumb. Oh my god! And I went through a bunch of her old text messages. I just texted her out of nowhere one time. Can we stop dicking around and start working for Greenpeace?
Right?
With no intro, no hi, how are you? Like that was I'm hilarious. I'm also crazy.
Well, what other thoughts do you have about the political side of AI? What else did you want to tackle?
I mean, basically just that they're trying to I just like don't understand. So we touched on most of my points. Like I kept interrupting you and being like so I guess basically just like, guys, let me know if there's like what the point of the upper class. They want to phase out labor. There are
Technologically, yeah.
AI wrote like and I don't understand what the point of that is. Like, okay, I get that you don't want to pay people. That's been clear to me for years. I got it. I understand that. What are you gonna do with us when we can't pay rent to you because we don't have jobs because you now have robot waiters and other people mining like the whole thing about the fascist right using AI for shit like who do you think your base is? Do you think there's enough billionaires in the world to keep you in power or
There's,
a lot of your power coming from people who mine in West Virginia like
or in the Congo incident, and all these other places that have materials that go in iPhones.
Exactly. Like where your power is coming from. Well, I'm just thinking like in America, like how do the Republicans intend to stay in power if their bases
Well,
are
and
out of
I was
working
just
union?
thinking. Sorry, the conversation
No.
we were having about this earlier when you were asking the same thing. You had said something. You're like, we're going to concentration camps. No, we're going to labor camps, because you want to know why? They still need people to pick food. They still need people to do manual labor,
Yeah.
and they'll have enough bodies to shove in these labor camps until we start dying, and we'll just reproduce in the labor camps doing their labor. I think that's what they imagine to be true. Because they're going to be off in some utopia in some part of the world, probably in the Middle East, because that's where they think, like, shit is fun, I guess. I don't know. But, like,
Dubai? Everyone's just gonna go to
well, like,
Dubai?
Dubai is
Well,
an example, but, like, Israel is also an example, too. Because
cause oh
there's real estate marketing all over the place. Come find your house in Gaza. We're already doing the demolition.
yeah, that's interesting. They're actually tried to. I think they tried to do this in California, where they tried to buy part of the fucking like valley or something like that. They were like, "We're gonna make a utopia." And it was like, you can't just make your own fucking town and not include poor people. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I have to look
Well,
into that though.
and I was listening to the same podcast I was talking about earlier, Colonial Outcasts, and they were talking about these really rich real estate developers who bought up a lot of homes in America, like across the nation,
Mm-hmm.
to do them rented. And there was some point they were trying to make about bringing people to the right based on that, but I don't remember. You'll have to go listen to their podcast.
Hiking up the prices so that people can't like it's
Well, that's what they
yeah.
did, but I don't remember why they said it was like such a huge deal. Well, for the obvious reason, but like there was a propaganda point to it,
Mm,
about
mm,
like the reason why you didn't know that happened, and the reason why the housing crisis is so bad is because people like this exist.
yeah.
Um,
The reason
but
why
it's the
you
same
can't
shit
own
with
a
the
house.
But
Yeah.
it's the same shit with AI, where it's just like, okay, now it's gonna take your job. So now you don't have a house because of these people. You're not gonna have a job because of these people. What the fuck are you gonna do? Oh yeah,
Oh my god.
conveniently the police are just rallying people over there for labor camps. Why don't you go that way?
I truly and then I was bitching about AI like fucking I was actually taxes. It was like AI. I was like bitching about AI as I was like doing research and then also I like realized how much is being taken out of my paychecks for taxes. And I looked up how much Tesla and Elon Musk are paying in taxes, and I was like, wow, I pay percent. Obviously, the amount is not more than Tesla or Elon Musk, but the percentage that I am paying is exponentially higher.
Oh, I'm sure.
I was like, I'm paying like 20% of my fucking income is going to taxes. And I'm like, what the Tesla paid 0.4%. And I was like, how are they? I had been bitching about AI, and my friend from work where I was like, and they're taking your taxes and they're using it to fund AI research, which they are then going to sell back to you. And I was like,
And I wonder what they just passed in the big beautiful bill recently about technology. I didn't even look into that. That could have been like a whole other 15 minutes of conversation. And actually they just recently came out with an executive order that criminalizes homelessness. You didn't see that? That came out like 4 days ago. I think it was like last Monday it came out or something like that. It was yeah, Trump was like, "Oh, by the way, we're criminalizing homelessness now. And so this is what's going to happen." And everybody was like, well, and I saw a TikTok video. Katie, this is so bad. I saw a TikTok video of this psychiatrist, this professional psychiatrist on TikTok begging people to like reblog her video and like say something to officials, because she said, if I thought the mental health crisis in America was bad now, this is going to kill like at least a third of my patients, because they will commit suicide because they don't have housing. Because housing is the most needed thing when it comes to mental health services. Yeah. And it wasn't the only one I saw. A bunch of therapists too. Like
you can't.
it's so bad.
I,
So like,
No, you're right. It's the labor camps. You guys, the conversation was off air, but I was like, where are they gonna do once they replace us? Once they replace labor, what are they gonna do? They're just gonna send us to the fucking chambers. What are you gonna do with us when we're? Are we just getting marched to the gas chambers once we can't work and pay rent for you guys? And then yeah, but I think you're right. It is. Oh my god.
yeah, I want to bring it back, maybe for your own sanity, Katie. To
Because my
to
father's homeless. Like he doesn't
yes,
live in
and
America, but
and like it's known about me that I've been homeless. I haven't been on a lease for 4 years.
I've also lived on the street when I drank all my money. Like it wasn't for very long, but I actually technically was homeless the entire time I lived in Massachusetts. If it qualifies by being on a
That's
lease, I
couch
was
surfing.
technically
Yep.
couch surfing, yeah. But I
I
actually
think
lived on a
couch surfing
street
is a type of
and
homelessness.
spent time in homeless shelters for a week
Yeah.
in between housing.
Isn't this awesome? Anyways, the hope. I was going
Sorry,
to bring it
bring
back
it
to
back.
hope because you
We,
need to calm your nervous system just a little bit.
I got Shabbat to do that also.
Well, yeah, but um I guess because we're seeing it get so bad and we're all talking about it on the internet, by the way. This is the part where it needs to come off the internet and into the neighborhoods so that these conversations can get real shit done and labor camps don't end up being the inevitable thing that we all have to face. Right now, we are in such dire circumstances that ICE is picking up people off the street and sending them to concentration camps now where they're going to starve and die because the police don't care to get them care. Okay? People are already dying on Earth right now, so the least you can fucking do is talk to your neighbor and say, hey, what's up? Then you get into some ass conversation. You know about them, you should be able to do the conversation. Plan it if you need to. That curbs the anxiety, but if you know them, you should know how to talk to them about it. And especially white people talking to white people about things, I should say, is really important too, because we don't need to be giving the educational and emotional labor to people who have been doing the labor in revolutionary work for fucking ever. If white people who know their shit can just talk to other white people, you're doing a lot. Not enough, but a lot. And it doesn't feel hopeful, right? Because we still like the reality
California
is the reality.
secession. We need.
I don't know. But here's the thing: is at the end of the day, my head is always on liberation. My head is always on land back, and my head is always on reparations and abolition. How we get there, I'm hoping we collectively see that happen and involve ourselves in doing so,
Burn it all down.
and then quickly rebuild it so that we can live.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does real damage. I've been saying this for a while. Like the government, as it stands now, was made by land-owning white Protestant men, and it was made only for land-owning white Protestant men.
Who are also slave owners, yes.
Yeah, exactly. They have expanded it through various amendments, sure, to theoretically be for everyone else that lives in this country. However, obviously, it's limited. They've been trying to keep it only for landowning Protestant white men. Slavery's still alive and well. It's called our prison system. And I think that honestly, at this point, the Constitution does more damage to the American psyche than it does good. Like, it is not made for most of the country. And I don't think it's wrong that we burn it down and make a new government and make a new constitution that's actually in the image of the people.
Yeah. One of the things the reason I say to like build it up really quick isn't to assert different forms of oppression. It's because the people who are dying now, who are disabled people who can't live through COVID and other things, it's people in Gaza who are being bombed and starved. It's people in the Congo who are mining for cobalt for our iPhones. It's people of color from South America or even just the southern part of the United States and Mexico who are being sent to concentration camps to. And not a lot of people know what the fuck is happening in there either. That's like a whole thing. Not a lot of like publicity gets out there about what's happening in those camps where they're sending people and what's happening when somebody is detained by ICE. These are the people, plus some, who need to be considered first. Right? Like, if we can, and that's why revolution needs to happen, because we can't get there without saying, nope, we're stopping this, right? And at the end of the day, the idea is to climb all the way back to an environmentally stable place where we're all working together with the land to be prosperous and sustainable and abundant, how Earth wants us to be anyways.
Need to do some weather underground shit. Some environmental terrorism.
We're not saying either way on this podcast what we're doing or not, but...
Everybody go look up reasons. The weather underground is what I'm saying.
Okay. I don't know what that's about, so I'll look it up too.
No, they were basically terrorists for the environment. Like their cause was the environment.
Well, and whoever's called a terrorist just so happens to be whoever the government wants to say is a terrorist, by the way. Cause,
they might be called freedom fighters.
Yeah, like Islamophobia and terrorism, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, I don't know how, like, this is so funny because I was thinking just like a few minutes ago, I was like, this is long, but I was like, it's been so good because I think not only should we be proud of ourselves for like how far we've grown with all these ideas and being able to see the truth and be, as podcasters, different types of propaganda, right? The anti-propaganda. Sometimes at the end of the day there is no real point, but when it comes to being spiritually or paranormally effective regarding all of this, I guess the idea is that like whatever kind of egregoric, follow the egregore logic here, which is like if you feed the energy and the manifestation into it, it might appear. And so that's why propaganda is often named as a spiritual warfare tactic, because it psychically attacks you and psychologically attacks you and then materially attacks you. And so when you can kind of understand like that egregorical logic, right, that I was talking about, like if that manifestation happens, if you can see it, you can see it for what it is. And I think that's worth part of the puzzle of the revolution, right? I don't know that everybody has to be a spiritual person or a paranormal believer to like really be effective in propaganda dispelling. But like one way is like understanding the spiritual undertones of like how that's happening and how that's psychically affecting you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh, AI is a psyop to make people dumber, for sure. Also, one final point. Well, it's supposed to make you dumber so that you can't question what's going on, so you can't question the propaganda that you're being fed.
If you were educated enough to even be one of the users of ChatGPT anyways, too, which is like an interesting point.
Oh.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people who just don't have the education anyways to understand propaganda even at its basic levels, right? Did you go to history class that day?
I mean, I was in AP history, so yes, I did.
Yeah, but like, I know a lot of kids in my high school who were like poor and like couldn't focus in school, so it's like... Anyways, thank you for listening to this episode of Files from the Other Side. You can find us on Instagram at Files from the Other Side. Share this podcast if you like it, and don't forget to subscribe.
And we'll see you on the other side. If we make it there.
I know.
No, we will.